Welcome back to the second part of our exploration into the profound teachings of Neville Goddard from his 1939 book, At Your Command. Now, as we continue, we're going to be delving even deeper into the transformative power of consciousness and manifestation, as Neville eloquently reveals the timeless wisdom that has the potential to change the very fabric of our reality. Now, Neville often emphasized the fundamental truth that in the awareness of being, all things become possible. This decreeing is not a mere wish or a hope, but it is a rising in consciousness to the natural state of being, to the thing desired. And as he beautifully expresses it, "And I, if I be lifted up, I shall draw all men unto me." Now, this lifting up in consciousness to the naturalness of our desired state is the key to drawing the manifestations of our desires into our lives. So if you've been struggling in terms of manifesting, you need this lecture. In fact, you stumbled upon this for a reason. Whatever is within this message today is something you badly need to hear. So listen on. Now, Neville also emphasizes the concept that consciousness is the father that draws the manifestations of life towards us. He reminds us in this book that we are constantly drawing into our world that which we are now conscious of being. So that which we are conscious of being in this moment. Thus, the past, it does not matter. What matters is your state of awareness right now. And the amazing thing is it can always be changed. Now, this truth shows the importance of why we have to be so mindful of our thoughts and beliefs as they shape our reality right now. So as I did in the last episode, I will be reading passages from Neville Goddard's book. Link to the entire PDF is below, as well as link to part number 1. And we're going to unravel the mysteries of consciousness, talk about manifestation, the limitless potential that lies within each of us. So it is my greatest hope and wish that this awakens something inside of you today and changes your life for the better. Make sure that you do hit that subscribe button to learn how to manifest the life of your dreams. I share timeless wisdom on this channel. We talk about Neville Goddard and other manifestation teachers that I greatly admire, and I love to analyze their works, put it into actionable steps that you can take, and I know that this can inspire you and help to transform your life for the better. Now, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, I do still have some coaching spots available. Head over to dreamlifebyveronica.com. Okay, so in the words of Neville, in the awareness of being, all things are possible. He said, "You shall decree a thing, and it shall come to pass." This is his decreeing, rising in consciousness to the naturalness of being the thing desired, as he expressed it. "And I, if I be lifted up, I shall draw all men unto me." If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing desired, I will draw the manifestation of that desire unto me. For he states, "No man comes unto me save the Father within me draws him, and I and my Father are one." Therefore, consciousness is the Father that is drawing the manifestations of life unto you. Now, in this passage, Neville shows a profound understanding of the power of consciousness in shaping our reality. This idea that we can decree a thing and see it manifest is a theme that's recurrent in many spiritual and philosophical teachings. So basically, we affirm a thing and see it come into our physical reality. And this is a theme that recurs in pretty much all spiritual and philosophical teachings. Everyone sort of describes it in a different way, but they're all sort of saying the same thing. In fact, you can call it many different things too. It's basically referring to what is in our consciousness, what is in our awareness, ends up manifesting into physical reality, the 3D essentially. This passage, well, it emphasizes the role that our thoughts and beliefs have in shaping these experiences. So our thoughts and beliefs are basically the root of everything. The 3D is simply just the duplication. Now, when Neville speaks about rising in consciousness to the naturalness of being the thing desired, he is talking about the concept of embodying the state of already having what you seek. Because, see, your reality will always reflect what you are, what you embody, what you exist in consciousness, what you are aware of. and it has to create a duplication. As within, so without. What is within you has to be expressed outside of you. Again, it's that duality of everything. It's emphasizing that our inner state, our beliefs, our self-perception is basically the catalyst for the external circumstances that we encounter. Now, this gives us the greatest freedom. This is not something to lament over if you've made poor decisions in the past of what to be conscious of or what to be aware of. It's okay because it can be changed in the future. Anything can be changed. So this statement actually gives you a superpower in a sense, because it's saying that all you have to do is lift up your state of consciousness to the level of the desired reality, and thus you will open yourself up to receiving the manifestation of that desire. So it's simple cause and effect. There's no earning it. There's no mystery in it. There's no, well, maybe I might have it. It's simple cause and effect. Okay, so when he talks about the analogy of being lifted up to draw all men unto oneself, this is basically reflecting the idea of magnetic attraction through consciousness. So becoming a magnet to the thing you seek. I know he speaks in fancy words. And that's why I'm kind of analyzing every single little bit, because sometimes when you read Neville, it may take you a moment to truly understand what he's saying, so I'm trying to decipher it into the easiest way for you to understand it. Because this is just a suggestion that when we raise our awareness to match the state of what we desire, so we're raising our frequency, we're raising our consciousness, we're raising what we focus on, we're basically just choosing something new to dwell upon, something new to contemplate. When we do this, we will naturally draw the manifestation, the realization, the physical reality of whatever matches that which we contemplate on. Now, when he references the Father within me, basically is the driving force behind the manifestation process, this is highlighting the internal nature of this power. So it is within you. It's about recognizing that our innate connection to the creative source within us is there. So the creativity is within you. It's not something outside of you. It's not something separate from you. This will help you understand that your consciousness is acting as the conduit through which manifestations occur. So it all happens first within consciousness. If it doesn't happen within consciousness, it cannot occur. Okay, so again, this paragraph, we're just basically highlighting that we can in fact manifest anything in life. That's really all he's saying. And that you just need to understand that whatever you focus on, whatever you dwell upon, whatever is held within your consciousness will in fact be expressed outside of you. Let us continue. So Neville said, you are, at this very moment, drawing into your world that which you are now conscious of being. Now you can see what is meant by, you must be born again. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression in life, the only way to change it is to take your attention away from that which seems so real to you and rise in consciousness to that which you desire to be. You cannot serve two masters. Therefore, to take your attention from one state of consciousness and place it upon another is to die to one and live to the other. Now, this passage alone is one of the most profound. In fact, listen to that part again, reread that, make a post-it note of that, reinforce that as many times as you need to. In fact, you could probably never reinforce it enough, because this is everything you need to know about personal transformation. So this idea that we are always drawing into our world that which we are conscious of being. So if it is not held within consciousness, it cannot be expressed. So again, we are emphasizing thoughts, beliefs, self-perception is at the core of everything. And this concept of being born again. So it's a metaphorical meaning in this context. It's this radical shift in consciousness. So you are literally being born again. So you are no longer that which you were before, and you are having a rebirth, a transformation from one state of being to the other. So essentially, if you are fed up with your current circumstances, dissatisfied with where you are at in life, well, you have all the power in the world to become born again. And the key to this lies within redirecting our attention. So your attention has to go to the new place. Your attention cannot remain in the old place, in the old circumstances. So you cannot keep your attention on the old circumstances in the old place and expect your life to change. Your life will not change first. You have to shift your awareness, direct your attention away from that which frustrates you and towards that which you see before it can actually show up. And yes, he emphasized how everything seems so real to us in the present moment. But all it is an expression of consciousness. And that is why it does not need to continue in the future. It does not need to persist in the future. Because if it's just an expression of consciousness, well, then choose a different state of consciousness. And a new expression of consciousness has to take its place. So you focus not on what frustrates you, but what you desire to become. And it will have to show up. Now, the analogy of serving two masters. This is the idea that we cannot hold conflicting states of consciousness simultaneously. So you can only be one or the other. You cannot be both at the same time. You can only focus on one thing at one time. So by choosing to shift your attention away from that which frustrates you and focus towards the desired state, you're only serving one master. You're effectively letting go of the old and embracing the new. The new is taking its place. It has to take its place. And if it's taking its place within you, then the changes have to take form outside of you. And he emphasized that this was symbolic of death and rebirth, where we release all old limitations of the past and step into a renewed state of being. Let us continue. Neville said, "The question, whom do you say that I am, is not addressed to a man called Peter by one called Jesus. This is the eternal question addressed to oneself by one's true being. In other words, whom do you say that you are? For your conviction of yourself, your opinion of yourself, will determine your expression in life." So when he says, "Whom do you say that I am?" he's reframing it from the literal, which is a question being directed to Peter by Jesus, because it's really just a question aimed at each person by their higher self, by the God within them, by the perfect state of being within them. So it's prompting you to ponder, the spiritual self to the earthly self. Who do I believe myself to be? Because this self-conception, your self-concept essentially, and your conviction within that is going to express in life whatever matches that state. So it's a question of self-identity and self-awareness. Because our opinions and beliefs about ourselves create the framework of that which we will experience. All of our relationships, the love we have or don't have, our financial situation, our friendships, our social scene, everything we interact with is at the core of self-identity and self-awareness, self-concept. So do we see ourselves capable and worthy and deserving of what we desire in life? Because if we would like to experience that, we merely need to align with those beliefs, which will then allow for and facilitate a positive expression of those experiences and those outcomes. And if we continue to dwell of a self-perception that is rooted in doubt, limitation, negativity, it will in fact continue to express circumstances that are frustrating. Now, when he asked the question, "Whom do you say that I am?" he's referring to your belief in your abilities, your worthiness, your potential. Because if you begin to change this, your life will have to change. Let us continue. In the words of Neville, he states, "You believe in God. Believe also in me." In other words, it is the me within you that is this God. Praying, then, is seen to be recognizing yourself to be that which you now desire, rather than its accepting form of petitioning a God that does not exist for that which you now desire. Okay, so the statement, "You believe in God, believe also in me." This profound message is about the nature of prayer. So Neville emphasizes that the me that he's referring to is the divine essence, the God within you, your higher self, which exists within every single individual. Basically, your creative power source, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Therefore, when he says to believe in me, he's urging you to recognize and acknowledge that this power exists within you. Now, this is transforming in the concept of prayer, because prayer isn't begging a deity, an external deity, to recognize your wishes, to grant you your desires. Prayer is basically the recognition of our own inherent creative power. And everyone has this. No one is exempt from this. So prayer is not a plea to a distant God, something that God may or may not grant. Prayer is just the process of affirming and embodying that which we seek. So it's really just about aligning our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings with the desired outcome, thus facilitating its manifestation into reality. So by shifting the focus inward and recognizing that God is within all of us, prayer is just a tool for self-realization and manifestation. It's just your time to decree exactly what you want. So this is a reinforcement that we are not separate from the source of creation, but an integral expression of that creative power, each individual expressions of the same thing. So this type of passage empowers you to take charge of your life. Stop acting passive and helpless and like a victim, because your beliefs and intentions will shape your reality. So Neville's message is inviting all of us to believe in ourselves as the divine beings we are, capable of manifesting any desire through conscious awareness and alignment with our true nature. So if you do not recognize your true nature, how can you manifest successfully? You can't, because you believe it's outside of you. So this is a call to embrace your inherent power that is within you and your authority in creating your life, in the words of Neville. So can't you see why the millions of prayers are unanswered? Men pray to a God that does not exist. For instance, to be conscious of being poor and to pray to a God for riches is to be rewarded with that which you are conscious of being, which is poverty. Prayers, to be successful, must be claiming rather than begging. So if you would pray for riches, turn from your picture of poverty by denying the very evidence of your senses and assume the nature of being wealthy. Now, this is a beautiful insight, using money as a great analogy. I mean, you could use love here, you could use health, you could use pretty much anything. But it's the nature of prayer and the reason why so many prayers go unanswered. The traditional approach to prayer, which is basically begging an external deity for specific outcomes, well, he's saying that this is fundamentally flawed. Neville states that praying to a God external to oneself, especially when you keep a consciousness that is rooted in lack or limitation, is counterproductive. If your focus and your awareness is on the thing that you do not seek and you beg to an external deity to solve your problem, your prayers will always go unanswered. Because if you pray for riches but remain consciously aware of poverty and existing in that state, the prayer is essentially useless. All it's doing is reinforcing the state of poverty because that's what you're focused on. Prayer and intention are not just words or wishes. They're examples of what is deeply rooted in our conscious awareness and our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. Now, the way to get prayer to work, because it does work, is not to approach it as a plea or petition to something external outside of yourself that may or may not grant your wish. Neville stated, with just a simple shift in consciousness, that's all that's needed, and your prayer will be answered every single time. You need only claim your desired outcome through a deep sense of inner conviction and belief. So if you were seeking wealth This would mean moving away from the mental image of poverty and lack, the awareness of it, the contemplation of it, commenting on it, complaining about it, all of these things. And instead, you would assume the mental state of already being wealthy, which would be gratitude, which would be focusing on what you have, which would be talking about things you love. So by denying this evidence, which is currently being presented in our physical senses, yes, it's there, yes, it's right in front of your face, but you do not need to engage with it, because this is just going to continue to reinforce lack and scarcity. Instead, you want to embrace the nature of abundance and success within your consciousness. And this is not being delusional and pretending that the current state of poverty does not exist, but it's rather understanding that the current state of poverty is just an extension of a previous state of consciousness. Thus, if it's simply just an expression, then it can easily be changed as long as we stop contemplating and focusing and dwelling upon it. Now, again, this has nothing to do with wishful thinking or merely positive affirmations. It's about embodying the state of being of that which we wish to experience. So these teachings are encouraging us to recognize the power of our consciousness in shaping our reality and how changeable it is and how much within our control it is. So rather than relying on external forces to create your future, you take full responsibility for your thoughts, your beliefs, and intentions, knowing that they are the seeds that you plant today to experience in your tomorrows, to transform your circumstances and bring about the desired outcomes. So I encourage you to reflect on Neville's teachings and to truly integrate them into your daily practice. Because the power to decree and manifest is within you. There's boundless potential of the human mind. You have the power to pretty much create anything. Now, I will be discussing part 3 in the next episode of this podcast, and do check out part 1. I will list the link below. Make sure to check out the full PDF of his book. It is available for download below, totally free in the public domain. Here's the link for part 1 of At Your Command. Now let us go into the silence.